Hello guys. Today we're taking you back in time, to a period in Britain, when hospitals were not just places of treatment, but symbols of trust, calmness, and humanity. In today's documentary, we'll explore what hospitals in Britain were like during the 1980s. How medical treatment was provided, how doctors and nurses cared for their patients, and which valuable qualities from that era seem to have faded away in the modern world. This is not just a story about hospitals. It is the story of a system where people mattered more than machines. So come with us, here on Retro Britannia, as we turn back the hands of time and step into the world of British hospitals in the 1980s. Hospitals in 1980s Britain: care, humanity, and the golden era of the NHS. The 1980s in Britain were a time when hospitals were seen as more than just places for treating illness. They were symbols of reassurance, dignity, and human care. People did not feel afraid at the thought of going to hospital. Instead, they trusted that they would be looked after with respect and attention. Healthcare was viewed as a public service, not a business, and this mindset shaped the healthcare system of the era. At the heart of this system was the National Health Service, the NHS, which served as the backbone of British society. Its core mission was simple yet powerful: to provide free or affordable healthcare to every citizen, regardless of social class. During the 1980s, most people relied entirely on public hospitals, confident that they would receive fair treatment and proper care without discrimination. Hospital buildings in the 1980s looked very different from today's modern glass and steel structures. Many were older but solid buildings, designed for practicality rather than appearance. Large open wards were common, with several patients sharing the same space. Privacy was limited, but a quiet sense of companionship often developed among patients. The atmosphere was serious, orderly, and calm. Cleanliness and hygiene were taken extremely seriously. Although advanced automated systems were not yet available, nurses and staff considered cleanliness a personal responsibility. Beds were neatly made, floors were scrubbed regularly, and disinfectants were used carefully. Cleanliness was not just a rule, it was seen as a vital part of healing. Doctors in the 1980s were fewer in number but rich in experience. They listened carefully to their patients, observed symptoms closely, and relied heavily on the clinical judgment. Advanced laboratory testing was limited, so unnecessary tests were avoided. A doctor's experience, observation, and decision-making skills were highly valued, and doctors held great respect within society. Nurses were truly the heart of hospitals during this period. Their shifts were long and physically demanding, yet they cared for patients with compassion and patience. Nurses did more than administer medication. They offered comfort, reassurance, and human connection. Nursing was regarded as an honorable and responsible profession, and patients placed immense trust in their care. Medical treatment itself was generally simple but effective. Overmedication was avoided, antibiotics were prescribed cautiously, and great emphasis was placed on rest, nutrition, and recovery time. Patients were not rushed out of hospital. Instead, they were often kept until they had fully recovered, reducing the risk of relapse. Advanced medical technologies such as MRI and CT scanners were not widely available at the time. X-rays and basic laboratory tests existed, but results often took time. Despite these limitations, treatments were effective because decisions were guided by human expertise rather than machines. Doctors focused on the patient's overall condition, not just test results. Life inside the hospital followed a strict but comforting routine. Meals were served on time, nurses conducted daily rounds, doctors visited at fixed hours, and visiting times were limited. Patients accepted the process with patience, while families respected hospital rules. Hospitals felt disciplined yet peaceful. The pharmaceutical system was also simple and controlled. Pharmacies stocked a limited range of essential medicines, each with clear dosage instructions. Overprescription was avoided, protecting patients from unnecessary side effects and strengthening trust in medical treatment. Emergency services existed in the 1980s, but they were used responsibly. Ambulance services were limited yet well organized. Hospitals were not overwhelmed by unnecessary visits, ensuring that genuinely urgent cases received immediate attention. Healthcare during the 1980s was not focused solely on the body. Patients were treated as whole individuals. A strong bond of trust existed between doctor and patient. Financial gain was never the primary concern. Humanity, service, and care came first. When we compare modern hospitals with those of the 1980s, we see clear differences. Today, technology is more advanced and facilities are greater, but time is limited and human connection often feels reduced. In contrast, the 1980s offered fewer resources but greater patience, compassion, and trust. In conclusion, British hospitals of the 1980s stood as powerful examples of simplicity, discipline, and humanity. It was a time when healing came not only from medicine, but from kindness, empathy, and trust. While modern healthcare has progressed technologically, the human values of that era remain a timeless lesson.